And I was deeply struck and moved because I think we were getting toward the bottom of the reason why there is so little talk of vision, particularly in the expert and scientific community, so little skill in coming to an expression of where we are going there, because it's painful and because we're not permitted. It's very interesting. I've been thinking ever since that comment was made, why we can in this culture, at least in the northern culture I come from, we can share our cynicism to total strangers. We can complain. We can talk about everything that we think will never work, but we can't share our dreams, our hopes, our visions, our deepest longings. It's not socially permitted, especially not in scientific forums, and certainly not in economic forums. Why? How did we get that culture? Why can we not talk openly and proudly about what we would like, not what we expect to get, but the world we would like to live in, without being labeled naive, idealists, unrealistic? I don't need to tell you, because those words may be coming up now as you listen to me. This is our cultural reaction to visionaries, or to any human expression of vision. Be quiet, let's get down to work. Stop being so naive and idealistic. And what I noticed, since then I've been very aware of people doing that in my environment. It happens all the time. I'm also become aware that children are natural visionaries. I think that we're all born with a sense of what the world should be like and what we deeply want the world to be like. You ask a child to make a vision of a sustainable world and it comes flowing forth. There's not a day worth of resistance. So this is clearly something that we have had engendered into us by two things, I think. One is the general culture, particularly the scientific objective culture. And secondly, I think by our disappointments as we grow old. We've tried things, they haven't worked. And instead of letting go of our, instead of using the haven't worked disappointments to learn lessons and become more effective in pushing toward our vision, rather we've let go of our vision. We have so many scars, so many disappointments. Well, after that very interesting day-long discussion about why we would not, could not, and should not talk about our vision of a world without hunger, we talked about our visions of a world without hunger. Some people, I think, didn't know that they had these visions in them, but they came pouring out once we got rid of all the reasons that kept them bottled down. And it was one of the most inspiring moments of my life. If you had never thought that you wanted to go work for the end of hunger, if you had heard these visions, you would have been mobilized on the spot to devote your life to ending hunger. They were human value statements from the deepest level of the heart and soul. And they were things I would love to share with the whole world, because I think that that probably is the missing element that keeps the world from ending hunger. If we don't speak about vision out loud, and we don't try for much, and then if we fall a little short of our goal, then we try for even less the next time, and we speak even less about what we really want. This is a positive feedback loop taking us down into a culture of cynicism and of absence of vision. And it says in the Bible, without vision, the people perish. Well, I've learned since then from Peter and other people how more to tap the part of me, I don't know how to describe it, from which vision comes. It's not the intellect, it's not the mind, it's not the rational set of skills that we have as human beings. It comes from another place, which you might call heart or soul or some combination of the two. And since then, I have really never undertaken any project in my personal life without formally doing a vision of what that will look like, whether it's a book or a new institution or a new course in the university. I formally and strictly take time to vision it, to see what it would be like if it were perfect. If it came out exactly the way I wanted, I even as much as I can write down that vision and keep referring to it when I lose my way in the process of trying to bring the vision into being. And what I've learned from doing this, and I will bring this in a minute to the question of visioning a sustainable society, I've learned some generalizations about this process for which I was so poorly trained in my culture, which I had to relearn as an adult. One thing I've learned is that it's very difficult at first, gets easier as you go along, but very important to remember that you are trying to state, articulate, or see what you really want, not what you think you can get. It's very quick for most of us rationally trained people to to sort of go out to the farthest envelope of what we think is possible. That we're putting all kinds of analysis and models in there about what is possible. I never would have said that it was possible for apartheid to end in South Africa or for the whole of the Eastern world to come back toward democracy, and yet it happened. So that tells you something about our models of possibility. You have to throw them away. You have to think about what you want. That's the essence of vision. What is a sustainable world that you would like to live in, that would satisfy your deepest dreams and longings? Second, if you can get there to that picture, you are under no obligation whatsoever to tell us how to get there from here. This is the easiest way to shoot down a visionary is to have someone express a vision and you say, oh yeah, but how do we get there from here? And if the visionary can't tell you, then you sweep away the vision. This is our rational left brain working again. My experience in having now many times created a vision and then actually brought it in some form into being, my experience is that I never know at the beginning how to get there, but as I articulate the vision, put it out, share it with people, and it gets more polished and more real, the path reveals itself. And it would never reveal itself if I were not putting out the vision of what I really want and finding that other people really want it too. Holding onto the vision reveals the path, and there's no need to judge the vision by whether the path is apparent. Finally, a few more points. As I said already, the visioning, wherever it comes from, I don't understand this at all, isn't a rational place, and it doesn't come from figuring out. But visions do have to be honed by rationality. There does need to be a responsibility in vision. I can't envision climbing to the top of a tree and flying off. I may really want to do that, but my rationality and my knowledge of how the world works tells me that that's not a responsible vision. Visions become responsible through all sorts of processes. The best one that I know is sharing it with other people who bring in their knowledge, their point of view, and their vision. The more a vision is shared, the more responsible it gets, also the more ethical it gets. The reason that Hitler was a dangerous visionary was that was his vision only. It wasn't the vision of the Jews or the Gypsies or the other nationalities in Europe, and that's why it was a crazy, irresponsible vision. Good modeling and sharing, and as much as possible understanding how the world works, bring a vision to responsibility. I just want to say a couple of words about the power of vision, then I want to give you all an exercise in visioning a sustainable world. Another thing I've discovered is once I am clear and have worked on a vision, it becomes more and more real to me. I can literally see. I've been working on this vision of a sustainable world for a long time. I can literally see it in technicolor, in some detail, and it gets better and better. The more I learn, the more I ask other people. It lives in me as a sustainable world that isn't a sacrifice or a bunch of difficult regulations, a sustainable world that I would love to live in.